Hello everyone, thanks for clicking on this video. I want to talk about something really weird that I've discovered recently, and I don't know how long this has been going on, but it's about how people perceive their role models. If you ask anyone who is your role model or who do you aspire to be like, they'll most of the time have a concrete answer to give you, and the majority of those answers will most likely be a celebrity, and that can be both good and bad. So let's say you play tennis and maybe one day you want to go on and play professionally. Then someone like Serena Williams, who in my opinion is probably, I won't say the best, but definitely one of the best female tennis players of all time. Serena Williams is one of the tennis greats, and there's no denying that. For many people, she is their role model. However, as I said earlier, there's something really weird going on with how people perceive their role models, whether they be in the field of sports or movies or comedy. Whenever this role model makes a statement about a topic in which he or she is not known for, there are way too many people who deeply respect and admire their role model, but are also way too willing to agree with absolutely 100% of statements that this role model has to say, despite their lack of expertise in this topic. I'm not saying that it's wrong to agree with your role model in a topic that they're not necessarily an expert in, but I'm just noticing that there's way too many individuals that are willing to totally skip the critical thinking process involved in determining whether or not one's stance is actually correct. So in this video, I want to talk about one instance in particular regarding Serena Williams when she played 2 years ago in the 2018 US Open Finals match against her 20-year-old Japanese opponent, Naomi Osaka. At the time, this match became extremely controversial and it gained a lot of attention as a result. So for everyone who isn't necessarily familiar with how tennis penalties work, let me explain this real quick. When you're playing tennis and you break a rule, whether that be racket abuse or verbal harassment, you receive a warning. So after you receive a warning, if you go on to break another rule, then you receive what's called a point penalty, which is when the opponent gains a point. And then if you break a rule for the third time, you receive a game penalty. Now a game penalty is fairly consequential because you need to win 6 games in order to win a set, and you need to win 2 sets in order to win the entire match. So losing a game is a fairly big deal. So what happened during this match is that someone, I'm not sure whether it was the umpire, but someone noticed that Serena Williams' coach was making signals that kind of looked like this, and then he gave a little bit of a nod. Now, according to the 2018 Grand Slam rulebook, quote, "Players shall not receive coaching during a match, including the warm-up. Communications of any kind, audible or visible between a player and a coach may be construed as coaching." So that was a pretty clear violation of that rule. When Serena Williams found out that she received a warning for coaching, this is how she reacted.
He gives me a thumbs up, he's telling me to come on. We don't have any code, and I know you don't know that, and I understand why you may have thought that was coaching, but I'm telling you it's not. I don't cheat to win, I'd rather lose. It's not something I do. But I can understand why you may have thought that, but just know I've never cheated. Okay, thank you, because I'm like, I don't cheat.
So there, Serena Williams and the umpire, Carlos Ramos, had a pretty respectable conversation. Serena claimed that she didn't get coaching, which is weird because this is what her coach said after the match.
Can you describe the motion that you made that was interpreted by the chair umpire as coaching?
Well, I mean, I'm honest, I was coaching. I mean, I don't think she looked at me, so that's why she didn't even think I was, but I was, like 100% of the coaches on 100% of the matches.
So that warning penalty issued by Carlos Ramos was 100% warranted and totally within the rulebook, so there'd really be no reason as to why he would take it back. This is important because later in the match, Serena Williams got angry and broke her racket, which is against the rulebook as stated here, quote, "Players shall not violently or with anger hit, kick, or throw a racket or other equipment within the precincts of the tournament site." Because Serena already had that warning for coaching, this next penalty would be for a point. When Serena Williams found out that Carlos Ramos had not taken away that coaching violation, she reacted rather, just watch for yourself.
Now Serena's confused by the score being called out.
This is unbelievable. Every time I play problems. Why? I didn't get coaching. I didn't get coaching. You need to make an announcement that I didn't get coaching. I don't cheat. I didn't get coaching. How can you say that? You owe me an apology. You owe me an apology. I have never cheated in my life. I have a daughter and I stand what's right for her and I've never cheated. And you owe me an apology. You will never do another one again.
Then her statements start to get even more aggressive when she starts claiming that somehow Carlos's fair umpiring is an attack against her character.
For you to attack my character is something that's wrong. It's wrong. You attacking my character. Yes, you are. You owe me an apology. You will never, ever, ever be on another court of mine as long as you live. You are the liar. When are you going to give me my apology? You owe me an apology. Say it. Say you're sorry. Well, then don't talk to me. Don't talk to me. How dare you insinuate that I was cheating?
Yeah,
You're a thief too.
You stole a point from me, you're a thief, she says. She called him a liar, she said he'll never be the umpire of any of her matches ever again, and most frequently, with this strange victim mindset, she keeps demanding an apology. You owe me an apology, she says. Well, once again, going back to the rulebook, quote, verbal abuse is defined as a statement about an official, opponent, sponsor, spectator, or other person that implies dishonesty or is derogatory, insulting, or otherwise abusive. By calling Carlos Ramos a thief, Serena Williams implied dishonesty within his umpiring, and by calling him a liar, she personally insulted him. So that alone would be grounds to issue another penalty for verbal abuse, and he did.
Code violation, verbal abuse,
And now,
penalty, Mrs. Williams.
Once she found out that she had indeed received a game penalty, Serena Williams started making some really bizarre claims of sexism.
Are you kidding me? Because I said you're a thief. Because you stole a point from me. But I'm not a cheater. But why? But I told you to apologize to me. It's not fair. But to give me a point to lose a game for what we're saying, that is not fair. You know how many other men do things that are, I don't think they do much worse than that. This is not fair. There's a lot of men out here that have said a lot of things, and because there are men, that doesn't happen to them. Because there are men out here that do a lot worse, but because I'm a woman. Because I'm a woman, you're going to take this away from me? That is not right. You know, and you know it, and I know you can't admit it, but I know you know it's not right.
Serena seems to be saying that you, Carlos Ramos, are filing these code violations against me because you were biased against women. Well, here the New York Times actually compiled a full list of all fines received by both men and women during all four major Grand Slam tournaments from 1999 to 2018, and here it is. So under the penalty of racket abuse, there have been 646 times men have been fined, while only 99 times that women have been fined. For audible obscenity, it's 344 versus 140. Unsportsmanlike conduct is 287 versus 67. Coaching is actually one of the few categories where the amount of women that have been fined surpasses the amount of men that have been fined. Now, there could be many reasons for this particular discrepancy, but this has nothing to do with what Serena is arguing for. She's saying that men have done a lot worse, or men have said worse things.
There's a lot of men out here that have said a lot of things, and because there are men.
Her point surrounding sexism wasn't directed toward coaching, it was that men are less likely to receive penalties for verbal abuse when, according to this summary, this is clearly not true. This whole reasoning of other people have said worse, therefore my actions are justified, is reminiscent of Serena Williams' 2019 situation in which she told a line judge that, quote, I'm going to shove this blank ball down your blank throat. And after she received her penalty for this, she said, it doesn't seem like her mindset really changed at all since then. So back to the 2018 Open, Serena Williams claimed that you are filing these violations because you are biased against women. That's clearly not true. Maybe what she could have said is, you, Carlos Ramos, are filing these penalties against me because you are biased against me. Now, Carlos Ramos is known around the tennis community as a strict follower of rules. For example, during the 2016 French Open, Carlos Ramos very quickly issued a code violation to Nick Kyrgios after the tennis player shouted at a ball boy something about a towel. Another example, during the 2016 Summer Olympics, Ramos issued a code violation to Andy Murray after Murray criticized Ramos's, quote, stupid umpiring. Also, during the 2017 French Open, Carlos Ramos gave Novak Djokovic a loss of the first serve after Djokovic committed multiple time violations. Then Djokovic yelled to himself in Serbian and then, according to Wikipedia, quote, flipped a tennis ball at a ball boy behind him, leading to Ramos penalizing him for unsportsmanlike conduct. I mean, this is a strict guy. It's also interesting how during these three examples I just gave you, Carlos Ramos penalized men. So Serena Williams claims that Carlos Ramos is biased against her because she's a woman, and he's just biased against her as an individual. Both of those claims are unwarranted. Her argument essentially boils down to, you shouldn't enforce the rules, and that sounds like a very silly argument, so that's probably why she didn't make it. So when we were talking about role models earlier, it's really unfortunate that so many people were willing to side with Serena Williams on this very situation, no matter what. There's no room for interpretation of her actions during that match. Her behavior, according to the rules, was objectively wrong. But the audience simply didn't buy it, given that this was their reaction during the awards ceremony.
Good evening, everyone, and we welcome you to the trophy celebration of the United States Open.
The focus of this entire event quickly shifted from how freaking amazing Naomi Osaka is, this upcoming 20-year-old tennis star, to how Serena Williams was mistreated. The most strange thing about this by far was how cautious people were to admit that Serena Williams was wrong. It was like an unspeakable point that no one could make. There were very few people in the media who were willing to say Serena Williams should not have done this has nothing to do with sexism, she was plain wrong. And part of the reason I'm making this particular video is that Serena Williams still hasn't admitted she was wrong. This is what she wrote about 1 year later about this particular situation. She said, quote, "This incident, though excruciating for us to endure, exemplified how thousands of women in every area of the workforce are treated every day. We are not allowed to have emotions. We are not allowed to be passionate. We are told to sit down and be quiet, which frankly is just not something I'm okay with. It's shameful that our society penalizes women for just being themselves." Now, is the issue of women's equality in the workforce a valid one? Of course it is. But for Serena Williams to claim that her situation exemplifies this massive issue, I'm just saying, if those who are fighting for women's equality take this case on as an example of women being mistreated, they are doing a major disservice to their cause, as they're totally discrediting it. Not only were the violations that Serena Williams got not taken away, the International Tennis Federation said that, quote, Carlos Ramos' decisions were in accordance with the rules. Essentially, they reviewed the case and agreed and sided with Carlos Ramos. I think it's super important that people see Serena Williams is a brilliant, fantastic tennis role model, but she is, on the other hand, a pretty terrible personal and political role model. Just because someone is amazing in one field doesn't mean that they're automatically going to be amazing in all other fields. Here's something that Serena said right after that 2018 match during the press conference.
I've seen other men call other umpires several things, and I'm here fighting for women's rights and for women's equality and for all kinds of stuff. And for me to say thief and for him to take a game, it made me feel like it was a sexist remark. I mean, the fact that I have to go through this is just an example for the next person that has emotions and that want to express themselves and they want to be a strong woman.
She keeps repeating this point that she's being repressed by not being able to show her emotions and not being able to be a strong woman with emotions. That's quite similar to a murderer in court saying, what, I'm not allowed to express my passion?
That has emotions and that want to express themselves and they want to be a strong woman, and they're going to be allowed to do that because of today. Maybe it didn't work out for me, but it's going to work out for the next person.
If expressing your emotions involves throwing a racket against the ground and then insulting the umpire and insinuating he's a liar and a thief, then no, you're not going to be allowed to do that, nor is anyone else in the future going to be allowed to do that because of your apparently courageous actions.
I have never cheated in my life. I have a daughter and I stand what's right for her.
Now, I think that yelling and insulting someone who has wronged you is a terrible lesson you could teach your child as a mother. But in this case, he didn't even wrong you. Tennis has rules. You broke them, he enforced them. And then you yelled and insulted. You know what a much better lesson would have been for your daughter? Equanimity. Equanimity is a state of psychological stability and composure which is undisturbed by experience of or exposure to emotions, pain, or other phenomena that may cause others to lose the balance of their mind. Instead of falsely accusing a man of being sexist against women on national television, calling him a liar, a thief, claiming that he's attacking your character, telling him that he will never be on another court of yours again, and continuously demanding that he apologizes to you when an apology is undeserved. Instead of all this, you could have shown your daughter how to deal with adversity the mature way, by keeping composure, by discussing and understanding, by trying to solve the problem instead of escalating it. In my opinion, showcasing equanimity would have been a much more powerful lesson for your daughter. But unfortunately, this opportunity went to waste. On that note, this video is over. I hope that you watching, well, first of all, thank you for watching till the end, but I hope you learned something. I also hope you enjoyed my commentary, and yeah, thanks for watching.